It's time for the movie raid, movie review, and tonight I'm going to talk about Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. The story takes place where it basically left off, and Jason gets resurrected and comes back to life and finds his victims, and we all know the whole shtick of this, but in this case he ends up being on a boat and still chasing his victims, killing, doing his thing, and eventually winds up in New York on this big old ship. And it also stars Peter Mark Richmond and obviously Kane Hodder. He does an amazing job as Jason Voorhees always has, in my opinion, of his performance. As far as story goes, I mean, I give him points to the fact that this is different. It does take a different direction. Definitely takes a completely different location, even though it wasn't filmed in that location entirely. Story-wise, I mean, it's just pretty much a point A, point B. I mean, it does have a little bit of a different direction, a little bit of an edge in a way. But it's really the environment that he's in that really makes it different rather than how he perceives the victims. Now, I always enjoy watching Jason just mutilate, doing his thing, man, because the way he kills his victims is always different and it's always awesome regardless. But story-wise, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Nothing majorly different per se. Stays within the confines of Friday the 13th style. I will say, as far as the makeup effects, I gotta talk about this. The makeup effects, let's start with young Jason Voorhees and the segments. Oh, man, they look horrible. They look horrible, man. And not only that, they bounce back and forth between the scenes. Every time there's like a flashback scene or a illusion type of scene with young Jason, he has hair, he doesn't have hair, and his eye makeup is terrible. It just looks horrible. It just looks like someone just pasted on there and basically say, oh, screw, it's not in the budget, let's just continue to keep filming. That's how I feel about this. And as far as the makeup on Jason, the unmasked Jason, the adult Jason, it looks terrible. I think it looks terrible. It looks like a shriveled up prune pumpkin. It just iffed me. I love the look, the outfit that Jason wears. I thought that was great, but I just hated how his face looks. It just looks horrible, And whatever the reason might be of how he looks, regardless, okay, maybe it was because of the budget. Okay, maybe they cut corners. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't in the budget to fix that, or put detail into it, or make it look good, right? But I guess all that budget just went for them being on the boat. I don't know. But yeah, the makeup effects, I just thought they were bad on both ends, and even with the scene where Jason is in the sewer, what? What? Oh, how he supposedly, I don't want to say he gets killed, because obviously Jason doesn't get really killed, okay? But for the sake of this, I would just say he gets defeated momentarily, right? Okay, we'll just say that. I just don't... toxic and intoxication by toxic from the sewer. Okay, and he pukes it up. What? And then he screams and it's like, okay, so he's dead, but yet he feels pain. Okay. Okay, was that supposed to be an added element that we really haven't actually witnessed per se? Now, we could roll back in time on the Friday the 13th films. Now, in a way, well, at least in his human form, obviously, he does feel pain, but he's already dead in this, okay? He's been shocked. He's been shot, stabbed, everything, choked, beaten. So, I just found that scene very odd to see that. Like, what? So, to move along with this, I will say that it just doesn't look good. I mean, and then the girl who has these, illusions about Jason and whatnot. It's like, it's just find it hard to believe that Jason goes all out for this one victim that he misses in this, right? That he doesn't actually kill per se. Because you know how it is. Jason always pretty much gets his victims for the most part, okay? But, he travels all the way to New York and only focuses on these, or at least this one girl, the whole time, pretty much. That's his main directive, right? But all the other guys, I mean, I guess it's because they all weren't, indirect with Camp Crystal Lake, but, like, I just felt like this story was just, was just thin. It was a thin story plot in my opinion. Again, it's point A, point B, and I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I really, really don't like the makeup effects of it. Like I mentioned before, it just doesn't look good. It just looks half-assed, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but if you were on this film and you did the makeup, I'm sorry, but like it just doesn't look good on screen. And I think it's funny though that Jason is like this kind of a creature from the Black Lagoon look the whole time. Like he's constantly wet all the time. I understand that gives that kind of a in a way kind of a sweaty look, but also obviously he's been in the water, obviously, and I get that. I do understand that part, but like for the most part, the makeup it was like the downfall, and not only that, it does just have minor interactiveness with Jason, and I don't know. I just felt like this wasn't that good of a Friday the 13th film. Although I do like the music in this. I like the rock music, and it does have a funny moment. I do love that scene where Jason kicks the boombox. That was hilarious. Now, as you guys know, if you haven't heard that, I'm just going to throw this little tidbit in case you didn't know. Originally, Jason was to kick a dog in a scene. They wanted him to kick a dog, but Kane Hodder was strongly against that and basically says, no, Jason wouldn't do that. And he doesn't kill kids, and he doesn't kick dogs, And I definitely respect that, and I can definitely see Jason, who being an infant himself, even though he's a big brute of a man, he's still a child. His mind is still very childlike, so it makes perfect sense why he wouldn't kill a dog per se, despite him being a notorious killer. He doesn't kill things that he felt that wouldn't actually be a threat. So good job on Kane for making this moment happen, because it's hilarious watching Jason just kicks a rap off of there, off the boombox. It was great. So as far as does this make a good Friday the 13th film? Well, I guess it just depends how you look at it. If you follow the line between Friday the 13th 1 all the way up to this point, you might be acceptable to it as far as a Friday the 13th film. Is it the best one? I don't consider it being the best Friday the 13th film. I think it's an okay film. I don't think it's as canon, I should say. I will say that, it does an okay job and follows through. But I will say, like, again, the good points about this film, I will say that the look of Jason looks awesome. He's a brute, just like always. Does his job, and has some good kills in there. As far as actors go, decent actors. I mean, I'm always a fan of seeing actors that I'm not familiar with, like I haven't really seen them in other films. Now, you may have seen, so-and-so, an X amount of films before, but some people, don't recognize these actors very well, unless obviously if it's like Kane Hodder, or if let's say, Sandra Bullock happened to be in it, or you'll see some pretty familiar faces even in this time era. But for the most part, there's no big A-listers as far as celebrity actors for this time involved in this movie. But it's an okay movie. It's definitely, worthy to keep in your collection for Friday the 13th for sure. And you don't want to leave this one out. But if I were to give this a rank out of a 10, yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a 6 because it just felt like they weren't really focusing on the details about certain things in this movie. Now, again, I think they were just fixating, hey, we got to put him in New York. We got to put him in New York or whichever the location might currently be for Jason to be in. I think they were just more like fixating on that, like, at least have him be involved with the environment around him. Like, I want to see him, take a pipe off the side of a building or something like that, or get a parking meter or something, like just bash someone's face in, like, or whatever. That would have been cool, in the story. Hey, while he's pursuing his target, that would have been cool, not just a point A, point B. Oh, okay, there it is, man. We're done. But, to a degree, some of the Friday the 13th films are kind of like that, in a way. Pretty straightforward. But I'm definitely going to go with a 6 out of 10 on this. It's an okay movie. It's not the greatest in this franchise, in my opinion. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. You think it's really good? Do you think they did really well with Jason as far as his pursuit goes? Or do you think it was just a bad idea to put him in New York? And as you know, what happens after New York? We send him in outer space. That's to be continued on another review.